that game too, and this Nico was given over to Forge, where he was able to find a lot of those engages that did give EDG a bit of a sweat when it came to those 5v5s, but Forge on the Annie once again, we saw him find great angles onto the enemy team when set up, so I'm gonna be surprised if Ning's he does lock in the Kha'Zix 3 games in a row for tonight, but we saw that this Kha'Zix up against something like the Sejuani, it's not going to find so much success unless SwordArt is right on top of his game.
Yeah, EDG playing for the late game here. FoFo goes for that Azir that he was denied in previous games of the series. LeBlanc take it off the board this time. Be curious if something else comes out, but the K'Sante is going to come on through here. So solo lane is locked in, jungle is locked in. EDG actually drafting in order so far. Everyone locking in their own champion. As Ultra Prime now, they can ban away some bot laners. I mean, Aphelios is open, Xayah is open. Obviously, the Ezreal from the previous game is open, whether or not they believe that'll be locked in again.
Yeah, and something interesting that is a common trend for the side of EDG is that they've been consistently taking the Ashe off the board as that final pick, so we'll have to wait and see what their approach is for this final game. The Xayah, most played for Uzi, is also going to get denied. I'm assuming the Aphelios is also going to get taken off the board, so that does bring something fresh for both of these bottom laners. We saw the Kai'Sa out of Doggo in that game too, going the Shiv build as well, but you really need some reassurance from your jungler for that Kai'Sa to pop off in those skirmishes. But I feel like this counter is going to be safe for SwordArt once again. I would really like to see something with a little bit more oomph compared to the Rel.
There we go, the Ezreal banned away. What a statement game from Uzi.
Wow.
And now that has to be banned in this meta. When's the last time you saw an Ezreal banned? Quite a while ago, I'd wager. Surely Aphelios to be banned here from EDG. You don't want to let that go over to Ultra Prime, but no, Nautilus taken off the board, so you'd expect Doggo to get the Aphelios.
I mean, that does allow the Ashe to be left up and open, so perhaps Ultra Prime do bring in a relatively special pick going into patch 13.12, where she did receive a slight buff to her damages in laning phase. So Aphelios is going to be the natural lock-in. Never mind, it's Aphelios versus Kai'Sa, but I can only pray as a caster, right?
Yeah, I mean, look, we're just getting all of the vintage Uzi picks, right? He's got 50 games on Kai'Sa, almost 47, with a 66% win rate across his career, 6 KDA on the pick. And Meiko, go for the Alistar. I absolutely love it. It looked so good in the previous game. There you have to go for that one again. Looking for those tower dives once more. And we'll see. With the Nautilus off of the table, with Alistar locked in, what do you go for? Leona, maybe?
You can go for either the Leona or the Braum, depending on how you want to play this lane. As SwordArt, 2 games in a row now counter saved for this support of Ultra Prime, so he really needs to utilize and look for a winning 2v2, or at least something that neutralizes the kill threat out of this Kai'Sa. Yeah, Thresh could also work really well with the amount of gap close that EDG has, but it is going to be fighting fire with fire, and the Leona gets locked in for this final game.
I would have loved to see a Thresh, actually, because you can flay the headbutt, right, from Alistar, stops some of the pressure on that bottom side, but Leona going to come on through. It's probably SwordArt's most played off the top of my head, at very least. Certainly in 2020. It was just Leona and Nautilus. Those were the 2 champs that the guy played, really. We'll see. EDG, a lot of scaling this time around, looking towards those team fights based on the composition here. And Ultra Prime still with this Kha'Zix in the jungle, wanting some early presence and early vision control.
Yeah, and we see the exact same mid-jungle duo coming out of Ultra Prime from game 1, where they were able to find so much success in that early game through Ning, through Forge's flash engages on this Annie, going the full burst with the Ludens and Shadowflame, of course. But this time around, FoFo finally gets to play the Azir in this final matchup, where they do have a lot of that late game scaling ability. But once again, Jiejie, you want to be playing towards this bottom side. You have amazing setup provided by Meiko once again, but the question is Ning gonna be there for Doggo this time around?
That's going to be the question as we head into game number 3, and many questions being asked of both organizations here in 10th and 11th place, both at 4 and 5, both desperate to get another win on the board. Every single game counts when it comes to the race for playoffs. And both organizations wanting this to be their season. Let's see what EDG are bringing to the table here with Uzi on the Kai'Sa, but Ultra Prime not going to give up yet. Let's see how we go. With Doggo on the Aphelios, it's certainly a comfortable pick for him. I'm looking at Forge and Ning, though. I feel like they have been the standout players for Ultra Prime across the course of this series so far. They have been the ones that have been able to be the difference makers. I mean, Ning and Hery in game number 1, winning that 2v2 and then Ning snowballing off it. But Forge definitely having some big moments on the ante as well.
Yeah, a lot of playmaking potential once those level 6s come online for the side of Ultra Prime, but something that was lacking in that game too, which unfortunately fell to Ultra Prime's demise, was the lack of jungle support synergy out of these two players. And I feel like SwordArt locking in the Leona as the final response, not something common we see alongside the Aphelios, because you see often the Threshes, the Tahm Kenches, or even something like the Braum to provide the extra bit of protection in those team fights is ideal. So Ultra Prime, very aggressive final pick for SwordArt, but hopefully this time around he's able to execute.
Hopefully so. As we begin very quietly in this one, and EDG, I think, likely to go back to their very slow style of play that we've seen over the last few weeks. They have generally been an incredibly slow to start team. That said, though, Jiejie and Meiko, very tanky champions. We saw in the previous game they were more than happy to go for tower dives and things. Now, granted, a lot of that was off the back of the hard work SwordArt did at level 1 in the lane, giving over first blood to Uzi. We'll see if they are willing to try and be aggressive onto this Aphelios.
The biggest difference, if you look at both of these two team compositions on paper, is that Uzi, he has the cleanse to kind of escape, and he has a bit of extra mobility as well built into his kit, while on the other hand, Doggo on the Aphelios, this champion is already notoriously known to be extremely vulnerable when it comes to these team fights, considering the amount of gap close that EDG has decided to lock in through the Renekton, the Sejuani, and the Alistar, but no cleanse available for Doggo. So his positioning quite literally needs to be perfect if Ultra Prime want to come out on top in these 5v5s.
Yeah, massive wave crash for Doggo here. I'm kind of surprised not to see a cheater recall here. Could have gone back and got a cull very early on with a wave crash like that, but gonna stick around in lane for now, wanting to keep the pressure on, gets himself a tower plate instead. So good little cash in for him. And again, very slow start to this one. I'm keeping my eyes on Ning, though. I feel like Ning is going to be the one that we need to see that level 1, that game 1 performance from, as opposed to game number 2, where against this Sejuani, it can be quite difficult to have an impact once a bit of armor is picked up. Sejuani is really difficult for you to find advantages on.
Yeah, we are going to get a Scuttle Crab trade for the bottom and top side of both junglers, but I was just kind of skimming at the skin that an engage from SwordArt, as Ning is around the corner, but it isn't going to result into anything. Anyways, back to my topic. So I skimmed that Uzi's using the new Kai'Sa skin. I think it's called Ink Shadow Kai'Sa, and the effects are relatively nice. I feel like there's a lot of Kai'Sa skins, and I know you're an AD carry player, so what do you think is the best Kai'Sa skin?
I don't know what the best one is. I use the KDA one because I got it in a box.
Thank you for the loot box system, Riot.
Yeah, like, I don't know. I don't actually think Kai'Sa has that many incredible skins. I don't feel like Kai'Sa's one of the... I feel like Tristana's got better skins than Kai'Sa does. Tristana's got some sick skins. Like, there are so many to choose from. Well, there's a firefighter. There's a cute little happy elf for Christmas. There's the Omega Squad. Omega Squad is probably the best skin line ever. And Tristana, you know, she's got one of those. The Dragon Trainer Tristana, like, man, Tristana has all of the best skins in the game. I think just Yordles in general, they've all got amazing skins.
Yeah, the Dragon
Yordles
Trainer one's
as
really
much as
cute.
the next guy, but like, aesthetically, they're adorable.
The one thing I hate about the Dragon Trainer skin is that once Tristana dies, the dragon is very depressed, and it kind of just crawls alongside Tristana as she falls down to the floor. Yeah.
Yeah, there's the Nunu and Willem one as well. Where he's like, I'll save you. Oh, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. Unfortunately, I wish I could be sad about that, but usually when you see a Nunu die, it's for the 11th time and he's got Ghost and Cleanse. So, you know, it's less sad in that situation.
Hey, I mean, you know, sometimes you gotta make sacrifices in these solo queue games, but I think Forge, he's out of position here.
FoFo, nice bit of play to start the game. First blood on the Azir. We said it's a good pick for him, making it known.
Yeah, great engage from FoFo, flash ulting Forge into the palms of Jiejie. And like you said, first blood going towards EDG. I think Ultra Prime, they're going to respond with starting that dragon up. They don't really have the tempo to contest for this. But this Azir pick was something that we've been highlighting for the past 3 games. And I feel like FoFo, he's always wanted to kind of step up as that carry player. Well, he's given the opportunity so with this Azir pick. And he has such great setup if Jiejie is going to be able to kind of loop around again and look for something onto Forge.
Do they really just rinse and repeat onto Forge? It would be so funny. This time, though, no flash, no ultimate for FoFo. I wouldn't expect them to be able to just make that stick, especially with Jiejie not being level 6. And Forge hovering on the bottom side of the lane. I feel like he's going to be fairly safe on this one. He's going to have to walk up to TransCS, though. And Jiejie looks like he really wants it. Meiko's moving over,
Meiko
too.
has the flash.
This is going to be dicey for Forge. Flash available for him. He's going to be knocked up here. The stuns are going to come on through as well. The Sand Soldiers are there, but they can't quite get the follow-up stun from Jiejie.
Forces Forge out of the lane. No TP available whatsoever. So FoFo is going to get this wave in, and huge proactive plays for the side of EDG. But we get a replay of the really sick combo out of FoFo, while Forge on the other receiving end misses the Tibbers onto nothing. But to be fair, really instant engage from this Azir. No one really could have expected it, as Ning, he's back in top lane.
Ning's up top and wants to try and find that miraculous 2v2 that they had in the first game of the series. Hery charges on forward, all out available, and pulls him to dangerous territory. Alan, the 2v1, and will be taken down. Nicely done here by Hery and Ning to answer what happened in the mid lane.
Oh, didn't expect Ning to be around the corner, but a really good engage from Hery. And I keep highlighting Hery for the side of Ultra Prime. Definitely a standout player so far in recent weeks, where he's very stable when it comes to laning phase. And hopefully EDG, they don't really continue this trend with the solo kill going into Hery's pockets, but this time around, relatively even lane state, but FoFo getting those plates into this Azir's pockets is going to be quite the problem for Ultra Prime to deal with, because other than Doggo, who can't really walk up in these team fights, they can't match FoFo's DPS when it comes to straight up 5v5.
Look at this full swap up to the top side as well. Uzi and Meiko hiding on the side of mid lane. Forge still has that flash, has managed to save it through both of the plays towards the mid lane. Meiko and Uzi happy to show now. They're going to go for the Herald, make their presence known, make sure that they can get that objective for the team. In the meantime, Doggo pushing the bottom side, red and white available. This is going to be at least a couple of plays.
I've seen this happen before. At least 2 plays going into this Aphelios' pocket is going to be quite the decision,
no.
but FoFo's here.
He's been baited. He's been absolutely baited. Good flash from Doggo, though. Keeps himself safe. And they won't be able to punish it. 1 plate goes the way of Doggo. Costs him both of his summoners. And it also crucially costs the Herald. So 1 plate for a Herald, probably a trade that you take as EDG.
Now the question is, Munch, that EDG were obviously starting the Rift Herald. As Ultra Prime, they were looking more towards the bottom side with Doggo so far up, pushed up. But where was his support and his jungler? Because I feel like if the Aphelios wants to be that far up, a little bit greedy, then you need to have people hovering. But EDG are the ones getting both the Rift Herald and the Flash, or double summoners, out of Doggo. So a very nice overall win for EDG.
Yeah, it feels like Ultra Prime had considered contesting the Drake, you know, or considered contesting the Herald, sorry, but obviously their AD carry was on the bottom side of the map, so they really couldn't, but just not really in the right position around the map. And EDG punishing a bit of a macro misplay from Ultra Prime. Not the end of the world. Gold's still relatively even at this point, but bit of a CS lead building up in that bottom lane. Not too crazy, though. I feel like this is the most even early game we've had. So I feel like it is the most even early game we've had in this series so far.
Yeah, but To be fair, back to game 1, this was the way that Ultra Prime found their initial 1-0 lead up against EDG. It was just through the 5v5 skirmishes and through Forge's really nice flash engages from this Annie, but this time around, you have to consider the fact that EDG have quite a few tools to disengage with the Azir, with even Meiko on this Alistar, so they have to take their chances very carefully. Jiejie is a little bit in the middle of everything here, though.
Jiejie trying to get a bit of damage on SwordArt. Here comes Meiko. Ning realizes that he's got to get out of here. This is not a fight he wants anymore. Hery looking for Allah here. Will find the all-out dominance to answer as Allah gets a bit of sustain from the minion wave, but Hery chasing for more, forces the flash out from Allah. And now Allah on the chase instead. He's got cooldowns. He's got the opportunity and gets a flash out of his opponent. We are neck and neck in the top lane between Allah and Hery here.
Hery does have the TP for that reset though, so like you said, flash for flash in the top side, but I feel like if the Q3 connected from Hery would have been a very scary situation to be Allah, but SwordArt, you don't want to be there.
Yeah, SwordArt will walk away with his life, but only just. As FoFo moves over to the plate, but Meiko and Jiejie playing bodyguard, dragon up on the map. But Uzi was in base at the time, so he's just moving back towards that bottom lane. Meiko walks over the ward. In fact, no, it was control warded. And Uzi returning to that bottom lane. Static shift now picked up. It's a big old spike for the Kai'Sa. They should be able to use that priority in the bottom side to leverage into a Drake.
You also have to consider the fact that being Doggo in this game, you can't just note the fact that Meiko is alone in this bottom side, because if he does get his CC onto you, Uzi can fly across the map and connect to that ultimate with that CC onto Doggo. But like you said, 2 dragons now for both sides of the team, but SwordArt once again a bit of a sticky situation, and Ning is making his way down towards here, but they don't have any prio.
Great knock up onto Doggo here. He's already going to go down. Uzi dives out the back side of the play. It's a 5-man play in the bottom lane from EDG. This is what we've been wanting to see. A kill for FoFo, a kill for Allah, a kill for Uzi. It's sharing the wealth on the side of EDG.
And you get a kill, and you get a kill, but I don't think Ning has what it takes to kill off FoFo here. As we get a repeat of game 2, Hery desperately trying to crawl back the amount of gold by making it through those tower plays in the top lane. But like you said, 2 kills into this Azir's pockets now, and a great start for EDG as we get a replay of how this all happened. I mean, Ning and Forge just weren't here for the counter dive. Both TPs committed from the mid laners of both teams, but the difference at the end was that we also had a TP coming out of Allah on this Renekton, and it, like you said, was a 5-man dive in the bottom side, and there was just such a numbers disadvantage while we didn't really get anything done on the other side of the map.
You can see the fans so excited to see it. Uzi 1-0-2, FoFo 2-0-1. The carry's feeling real strong in this game for EDG. And that dive has led to 1,500 gold lead. Drake's even on the map right now. Nobody actually managing to finish off a tower just yet, as Uzi literally one-shots the wave. That is... I just can't get used to it, you know? I feel like it's one of those things where until that just gets nerfed into the ground, basically, it's just going to feel so oppressive. Like, the old static shiv didn't one-shot waves, you know? And I feel like it was a great item.
Old static shiv. Why fix something that's not broken, right? I mean, maybe it was just falling out of relevancy compared to all the mythic items that they introduced with the recent changes to AD.
But it's not a mythic item. So what's
I
the
mean, just
problem
the
with that?
recent items, I suppose. But we also have to talk about how, I mean, in that dive, I truly feel like if Ultra Prime had a bit of extra disengage from SwordArt, the Leona pick, it could have made that difference. But Ultra Prime obviously having a bit of an idea themselves, looking for the aggressive plays alongside Forge and SwordArt to allow Ning to be that carry player once again compared to game 1, but failing to be the proactive ones out of the 2 teams.
So the vision fight begins.
Do you hear the pings on the map?
I do, yeah. Look at them. Look at the mini-map. You can't see players for the amount of pings going on right here. There's a wave crashing in the bottom side as well. Might actually finish that tower off. There's a cannon working away on it. This Herald will be started by EDG. Don't know how confident Ultra Prime are to contest, but it looks like they are going to try and move in. FoFo with a bit of early damage. Solar Flare comes on out. Here they go, diving onto the backline. SwordArt turns gold as the Empress Divide splits the team fight. SwordArt's go down. Hery trying to protect him, though. Dives deep into play, but Uzi's on the backline instead. But look at this. Ultra Prime, 3 strong, clustered up as a death ball, but Uzi's clearing house. Doggo with the shurikens. Can he make it happen? Red and white, time to fight. It's a raid, boss of Felios, but he just can't make the distance. Ala now closing the gap with the slice and dice and cuts him through. The Emperor of Shurima reigns supreme.
And a clean ace for EDG at 15 minutes as they secure this mid lane tower, now working their way back up to this Rift Herald. Ali's just gonna start it himself, but I truly felt like Doggo was cooking something up with the amount of chakrams that he had, but it just wasn't enough. At the end, you see SwordArt being that initial engage of this team by landing his spells onto FoFo, but there just wasn't any follow-up. Forge on the Annie misses the Tibbers on everyone for EDG, and that truly would have been the difference for that Tibbers damage onto the carries. But you see that Uzi flies over the wall, and Ultra Prime, they're in a bit of a sandwiched situation, but no carries are getting thrown in whatsoever in this team fight. And I just feel like Doggo, I mean, there's a reason why Felix is most played champion, but he needs someone else to step up as well.
Look at those chakrams. That is maybe the most I've ever seen. It's at least on par for Ala, using that minion wave to close the gap. And FoFo finishes the job from a million miles away. It was close to beautiful from Doggo, but close ain't close enough as Ala finds himself a solo kill onto Forge. Will be finished off by Hery, but I mean, it's too little too late.
Flash for flash trade though, so overall I still feel like EDG are in the winner's position with the dragon spawning in 1 minute. No control whatsoever. FoFo has so much presence in this final game on the Azir. 4-0, I mean, you have to throw it back to the fact that you know that Ultra Prime, especially SwordArt, they want to be looking for that engage, but onto someone like the Azir, near impossible unless you're looking for those flank angles, and we haven't really seen that out of the Ultra Prime roster. And I feel like this Kha'Zix's 3rd game in a row, I mean, yes, we saw amazing damage out of him in game 1, giving that lead over to Ning as he was able to snowball with that, but not for the past 2 games. I mean, we get a replay of what happened to Forge. Both flashes were committed. I feel like Forge could have just held on to his flash here because the Annie flash is such a crucial tool of engage for the side of Ultra Prime to bounce off. Unfortunately, trading 1-for-1, EDG are more than happy to take that.
Forge just overstepping a little bit there, which is, it's tough to see because Forge had such a good first game in the series, but and the Nico as well, having some really great moments in game 2, but unfortunately, game 3 having a really hard time of it. And a lot of that is just down to EDG being so proactive compared to the rest of the series. Hang on a second. Hery is in trouble as Ala is looking for a solo kill. FoFo trying to get involved as well as Ala.
That's the flash.
The tower, they're charging forwards and Hery forced to flash away. As Forge now arrives on the play. Won't be able to dive him again, I don't think. Herald gonna come down. Jiejie and Meiko trying to bully everyone away. Jiejie actually goes in. There's 4 players there. I don't think he realized quite how strong Ultra Prime were, but he's invincible. He just doesn't go down. And now, bodying them
Uzi's got out.
Is found Uzi, but Uzi's fighting! What? How does Kai'Sa 1v1 Kha'Zix at 18 minutes? That's just insane.
Kai'Sa, the Void Slayer, just kills Ning off screen with the fadeaway W as well. Meiko looking for more.
Looking for more on the top side. Forge is gone. And EDG, where has this been for the whole year? Where has this been for the whole split? Like, they are back on form, it feels like. Game number 1 was not pretty, but game number 2, game number 3, it feels like something has clicked. And honestly, in a way that I've not really seen from them in summer. I can finally start to get excited about this team again with performances like this.
A great early to mid game from the side of EDG, and it was the same formula that has been working for them, and it is through Jiejie and Meiko consistently forcing those dives onto the bottom lane of Ultra Prime. And you see it in the Kai'Sa now, sitting on 2 items, Nash's Tooth, Shiv. Also, FoFo getting that early kill onto Forge. I mean, the difference between the opponent laner is a little bit prominent when it comes to these 5v5 team fights, especially when Forge, he has gone with the Haunting guys instead of the Luden, so he's offering a bit more utility. But it's gonna be a very hard games to come back on, especially with the Baron up and available with no vision to work off whatsoever.
Ala has absolutely no fear. Just runs Ultra Prime. SwordArt forced to flash away. And is Dominus on cooldown, but to be honest, I don't think he minds that much. Look at the vision control from EDG now. There is no way in for Ultra Prime. They're just going to start the Baron.
It's not going to be as fast though. Uzi is that Shiv Kaiser, so it is very reliant on FoFo. Forge does have that flash available now, but we've seen EDG bait this Baron before. They're going to do it again. Ning's in the pit.
FoFo's doing so much damage here. Solar Flare onto the Azir. Oh, he hits it! Doggo's doomed! Uzi's on the back line. What a shot with the W. That is just nuts. Maximum range on the AP Kaiser. See you later, Ultra Prime. EDG are back.
And wrap it up, boys. 4 people are dead for the side of Ultra Prime. Baron in hand of EDG. They have the wave. They're going to look for that series win up against Ultra Prime. And honestly, a fantastic redemption for the jungler and support of Meiko. And exactly what the fans are expecting out of this super roster.
EDG have never been more back than this. They're going to look for the towers. Can they actually end here? Doggo with a Moonlight Vision. No way are they actually going to stop them. And walk away. EDG keep themselves alive as Uzi trying to snipe. It's like playing ARAM, isn't it? The AP guys are just firing on all cylinders.
Yeah, Gwynso also picked up as that third item. Both carriers of EDG are so incredibly fed, playing front to back. But that engage from FoFo hitting the Emperor's Divide onto Doggo to allow Uzi to connect with his ultimate, was quite the highlight for that team fight. But now, Mountain Soul Point, I don't think EDG even care about this dragon. They're just going to force a team fight and end the game.
I mean, who even needs a team fight? If Ultra Prime don't show up, there are no Nexus towers.
They're gonna just
literally just walk at the Nexus here and hit it a few times. Ultra Prime, you've got to start a fight before they get to the Nexus, or you'll just lose the game. Here we go, Meiko on the backline, protecting Uzi as Hery on the front line. Doggo getting annihilated by Ala, and Uzi flies in to finish the job. Hery next on the chopping block as the Void Seeker does go slightly wide, but SwordArt goes down. In fact, that's Forge going down instead of SwordArt gets onto the fountain. EDG wants some bonus kills. The Nexus is wide open, but they're here for the victory lap. They want a kill a minute in the game. They're at 19 on 23, whereas Uzi is looking to finish things off. He's got a stopwatch. Ning probably kills him here, but no, turns invisible. Keeps himself alive, and he kills Ning instead. Another solo kill over Ning for Uzi. What a performance from EDG.
And finally, at 23 minutes, EDG are going to be able to wrap this series up 2-1 fashion. I mean, talk about flashy, because Uzi and FoFo